The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello there, welcome to another fresh edition of your current affairs program on television, The Big Issue. My name is Winifred Weber, your host on the program. Of course, I have with me in the studio this hour an in-house analyst. He's also an economist, given the fact that he's a stakeholder in the economic affairs. Mark Isibo. Mark, it's always a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you very much.
Yes, my name is Winifred Weber once again. Now, of course, the big issue we are looking at today is hardship and the International Monetary Fund's proposal to federal government to remove electricity subsidy. Many people are already groaning over the hardship in the country and the rising the cost of living in the country. And amidst these floated naira, which has also resulted in eroding the value of the naira, the International Monetary Fund, a multilateral agency, is coming up with a proposal again that for the federal government to remove electricity subsidy. This is a hard nut for Nigerians to crack. Now, Mark, I want to ask you, many Nigerians are not probably aware of it. Is it true that Nigerians are paying, or the federal government is paying subsidy for electricity on behalf of Nigerians?
Of course, the federal government is paying subsidy.
But how is it so?
Well, the issue is that there's what they call cost reflective tariff. So if, for instance, the price per kilowatt of electricity is, I can't even remember that's how much it's supposed to be, because it's a chain. The electricity sector is a chain. There's the GenCos, which generates the power and gives the transmission, which is held by the federal government till now. And so you have the discos who are responsible for the distribution. So it's a chain. So all of these ones are whatever you buy for a unit of electricity, it is shared into three. You understand, among these three stakeholders. So if, for instance, it's supposed to be, I can't remember immediately, it's supposed to be, for instance, 10 naira, and government is saying 10 naira is too high, because it boils down to cost of production, cost of generating it, for instance.
However, but considering the fact that Nigerians are still paying probably out of their teeth for this electricity, how come federal government is still subsidizing it? Because we really don't know where the federal government is coming in.
Because the federal government will have to subsidize, or there will be need for federal government to intervene in the cost of offsetting the cost, because the cost of even generation, the cost of gas is quite high. You understand now? So you need you need the GenCos to be able. That's why you easily hear of breakdown of national grid. You understand now? Because they will tell you that there was no supply. So I do not know how much was agreed between the federal government and the GenCos on the amount you are going to be charging for this also amount for this because government comes in a way to be able to reduce the cost. But if they are actually to sell, of course, the cost of power today is not the same. So it depends on the area. For instance, there are some of them that they will tell you these customers are on so line. These customers are on so line. So you see some people, they will tell you in my area, we buy, we have those ones who constantly have light, they pay higher. Yes, than those ones who do not have light. That again depends on the cost of consumption. You understand now? Because some people still do not have meter. There's no metering in the sector. So that in a way, the discos, for instance, will just call the discos that actually refuse to give them meters. They will come to say that it's cost what's it called per billing. You understand now? So the government really pays.
Estimated billing.
Yes, estimated billing. So the government actually pays, because if you have to pay what you are spending now to buy, for instance, 10 units of power, you will likely pay like ×2 of it.
Okay, now let's look at the main big issue today. From this agency asking the federal government to increase or reduce electricity subsidy, don't you think the agency is not sensitive to the plight of Nigerians, given the hardship in the land?
The issue is that I don't blame IMF. One of IMF's role is to advise its members. You understand? So it is now left for you to take or to discard with this kind of advice. But the issue is, like you said, are they being sensitive
to the plight of
Nigerians? Nigerians are already overstretched.
Yes.
Nigerians are now pushed against the wall. And even some people, I will tell you that they have even penetrated the wall and they do not know where they are going to come out from. That's why you hear cases of people committing suicide because of hardship and kind of. So not everybody that can actually withstand the pressure that comes with hardship. So the question now is IMF sensitive? No. But is IMF doing its own job? Yes. The question is, have you ever heard IMF tell France, for instance, or even the UK, or even the US, say remove subsidy on this and that? Are you not aware that most of these countries, including China and the rest of them, they pay subsidy on even food?
Yes, they do.
They pay subsidy on medicals.
On even fuel.
They pay subsidy on education. They pay subsidy on energy. If somebody is telling you to remove subsidy on energy, is the person really right? Because if you take away subsidy of energy, you are killing the production sector. You understand now? So IMF telling federal government is their own role, but the federal government heeding to their advice is another thing. I don't know which word to use now, because the issue is that when they told the federal government to remove subsidy on petrol,
yes,
and they removed it, what is the repercussion? What is the result? Is it positive? No. Is it negative? Yes. Because it is actually biting hard. Now the cost of fuel, that the price of fuel that has gone up from 196 when the previous government left to 670 as of today, has in fact had the multiplier effect virtually on everything, and so it is killing. So you now see the cost of transportation, the cost of education, the cost of medicals, the cost of production, the cost of everything on top of the roof. So the question now is, why should somebody still come to say, okay, you in fact you are dying off? Somebody is saying put more load or put more pressure on the person. So the person is in the real sense of it telling you go and die. You understand that the person does not care. But it will continue as long as you have a government or public officials who are ready to take those kind of inhuman policies or advice to make policies, even when they know that, as a matter of fact, what has been, I will even advise you, what has been done is even done wrong. I mean, the removal of the fuel subsidy.
I'm actually coming to that, Mark. This is something that we are going to talk about, because it's part of the questions I'm going to ask you. Now, first, before we get there, I want to find out from you. You know, there have been reports that of protests in Kano, Niger states. Do you think people are gradually reaching the limits of their?
Of course, of course. You see it every day. You see it on the street. You see it in your neighborhood. You see, before now, it is only the rich men that are scared of armed robbery, attack, kidnapping, and the rest of them. But today, you see even a receptionist is picked from the hotel. You hear that even poor people, you understand, even Richard Castella. So they are now afraid that, look, somebody was telling me before we came to the studio that I don't know how true it is, that in Lagos, a particular truckload of yam was attacked by mobs or people on the street. So yeah, you see instances where people we see the person they're passing on the street of Lagos and say, hey, we are hungry. Hunger is killing us. So you don't need to ask the question. The fact is that the situation on ground has pushed people to the limit. So it's just that Nigerians are very, very patient people. They are very, very tolerant. They know how to endure hardship.
Prayerful.
And very prayerful. They pray over everything, even the ones that do not even need prayer. If not, what is on ground alone is enough to trigger an unrest. This, you remember the what caused the Arab Spring uprising? Yes, just because of the price of bread was increased. The price of bread today, the price of bread has moved over 200% since the last 2 months. The price of cement in Nigeria has moved from 5,000 naira in December to 10,000 naira in parts of this country. Because somebody was telling me this morning that in Imo, that somebody went there yesterday, they told him that it's even 10,000 naira. In Abuja, where we are, for a bag of cement. So in Abuja, where we are, is 8,500 naira. In parts of this, in parts of other parts of the country, even in Edo State, in my local government, where Boa cement is being produced, it is 8,500 naira, 9,000 naira. In the same local government, the same Etako is where Boa cement is being. So what costs that? Is it cause of movement, cause of transportation, or what? So the price of everything has gone up, yet Nigerians are patient. So you just wonder at what time are they going to what? Let me not sound as if I'm instigating Nigerians to action. But the fact is that we are overstretched. Everybody is crying. Things are on the high side. Regressively, the government does not seem to be concerned that this could result to unbearable situations.
Now, most of these problems started with the rising cost of transportation as a result of subsidy removal. Now, Mark, I was saying, leave the story, we are coming to that. Would you recommend or would you advise the government now to jettison subsidy removal and restore subsidy of petroleum back?
One thing somebody must not do to you is to put you from a bad situation to a worse situation. Nigerians were already tired or hungry with the Buhari's failure, because it was a complete failure. The government failed, and so, but even at that, what we have on ground now is a worse situation, like they say, from frying pan to fire. You understand? So, what it is, either you get it better or you leave us where we are. So, what this government has just come to do is to make the bad situation worse. You understand? If you cannot make the cost of living cheaper, give us better income or per capita income, if you cannot have an inclusive economy, if you cannot have the petrol price go down up to even 97 naira that the good Lord Jonathan government increased it to in 2012, and these same guys protested and they mobilized Nigerians into the streets. If you cannot go to that same time, you leave us where we were when you came. Where were we? We were in 96 naira per petrol liter of the petrol, per liter of the petrol. So why take us to 670 naira? And now somebody is telling you, go ahead. As a matter of fact, if you ask me, the best thing for the government to do is to reverse its policy.
Man, don't forget it's almost a year, because we're in February.
It doesn't matter. In bad policy, look, IMF is only using Nigeria to test run its policies. You understand now? Nigeria is a willing hand, it's a willing place for IMF to test its policies. Do you understand? Because
let's go on a break, Mark. When we come back, we are going to be looking more into the issue. Don't go away, they are stated. In case you are just joining us, the program is The Big Issue, and the big issue today we are looking at, and that is IMF proposal to the federal government to remove electricity subsidy. This amid the rising cost of living and the excruciating hardship being faced by Nigerians in the country. And of course, we are wondering and asking in this program, is IMF sensitive to the plight of Nigerians at all? Mark, as you were saying.
Yes, IMF is not sensitive, and they don't need to be sensitive. What IMF is simply doing, like I said, is just using Nigeria as a testing ground for its policies. But the question again you should ask is, why is IMF not telling UK or France, all of those countries, to remove subsidies on transportation, subsidies on health, subsidies on education? There are some countries, even in the UK, where you don't need to pay your children's school fees, but today you know the cost of school fees. So there are some countries in this world where food is seriously subsidized. Here today, you know the price of food. The inflation we are talking about that is over the roof now, it is mostly driven by demand push inflation. And so the demand push inflation we are talking about is even more caused by the insecurity in the land. Instead of the government to hold on with the fuel price at 196 and go and deal with insecurity, so that people can go back with the farm. Where you will now have farm produce on the in the markets, they are now taking IMF policies to say, okay, let us test, let us see how it works. So look, the issue is that it cannot work. The government should, as a matter of fact, like I was saying, the government should reverse itself on the fuel subsidy removal. Because there's nowhere in the world where you float the naira.
Yes,
let me tell you, there's nowhere in the naira where you float the naira at the same time you are removing subsidy on energy. It is not done. Implementing those two, I think I've said it in this studio before. And there's nowhere in the world where you float a currency that is dependent on another currency. And then you remove subsidy. Then where is the mainstay of the economy?
No,
even now that we are not even the oil that we are even exporting, we don't even get the dollars remitted.
Sorry, I just want to chip in because many people at Pundits are already saying that federal government, as a matter of fact, is paying subsidy through the back door, considering the naira value to $1 now, which in any case, inversely, the fuel pump price has remained at 617 naira. That is according to NNPC's price. Why 617 naira according to other marketers? How true is this?
It is true. You don't need any babalawo esusia to tell you that. You understand? It's just that the government is behaving like the ostrich. The question will now be, if the IMF is going to the same market that AA Rano, Shema, and the rest of them go to, how come that these guys are selling for 617 naira and you are selling for 617 naira? So is it that the market prefers selling to you, or you are not serving the same market, the same audience, the same buyers? So today, what you have is just living like I don't know what, just living in pretense. There's a parable in my place that says somebody where they beat with 12 kings and the person comes to say that I was only flogged with 10 kings. The remaining two are actually paying you. You know that you are paying it. You know, when NNPC fails to tell us how much of in dollars they have remitted, and they come to tell us that they have made profit of 2 trillion naira in the last 1 year, and so you wonder what kind of deception is this? Look, NNPC should sell its crude on behalf of the federal government in dollars, which it actually does, and remit to the registration account with CBN, and then apply for money to import. So it's not like what they are doing now. They just sell they just do like if they are doing trade by barter. We give you food, you give us a byproduct. What happens to the byproducts that follow the food? Because petrol is just one product, one of the byproducts of crude oil. And so the other products that you are selling, how much dollars are we getting from them? For instance, if we are selling the crude, maybe $100 per barrel, and then we are importing 1 liter of fuel, maybe the landing cost is now like 500 naira without subsidy now that they claim. So what happens? That is for petrol, because the petrol cannot sell as the same price as the crude. So what happens to the other, the balance of what we get? Because it's the net. I don't know if you understand. If what you sell per barrel of crude is 100 naira, and now we're importing the landing, the total cost of importing a petrol liter is 17 naira. What happens to the 30 naira? I'm talking now in dollars. So NNPC does not remit. It will wait and do a shady deals, and after 1 year, it goes to the media to tell you that we have made profit of 2 trillion naira, and 2 trillion naira comes to the account irrelevant, because that's no meaning, that's no value. They said that they were removing subsidy to create more money for the government. So now it's like you have a voluminous account without sense, without value. We are now returning. We are now like Zimbabwe. You know, like they always say Zimbabwean dollar. So now, if the state governments have been making trillions of money from the federation account every month, or have been receiving billions of naira from the federation account, how come that most of them cannot still pay the 30,000 naira minimum wage? So because you're supposed to have more money to buy more goods. Now you have more money, the more you cannot purchase anything. So where does it leave you?
And that reminds me.
You float the naira, and you float the naira, at the same time you are removing subsidy. So why would the economy not perish? The economy will perish because no economy does that at the same time. You do not float a naira that is dependent on the foreign currency. At the same time, you are removing the subsidy. And then where do you leave the economy? So that is what we are suffering today. What we are suffering today is doing two wrong policies at the same time. Right. And so the repercussion will be so tight, and that is why you are hearing all of this. And so people must survive. As when people must survive, we are now like in a jungle field, survivor of the fittest. Yes. That's why you see the kidnapper will still go and pick somebody that's already poor. People like us who do not have anything, we are now afraid that we do not think that we have something. If you are able to get 10,000 naira to fuel your car, you will now manage your movements. And so when somebody sees you drive the car by, the person thinks you have money. And so it is just one very funny life.
It is. Now, Mark, I want to ask you. The NLC, as we speak, is proposing 1 million naira as minimum wage. We are wondering, is this realistic? Can states and local governments pay? Will it not compound and worsen the hyperinflation we have in the country right now?
It is. For me, I think the NNPC is asking for what is not realizable. I think it's not possible. That's what I think. For instance, NSC just being I think overzealous or ambitious. So I think it's not possible. Why I'm telling you it is NSC is a labor union, not only for the federal government, not only for the states, not only for the private sector. Whatever they make case for is supposed to have a multi-layer implication. So now, if by now what we hear from the official quarter, what I heard yesterday was that it is only 10 states out of the 36 states of the federation that have been able to pay the 30,000 naira minimum wage. Up to today, you hear states are not able to pay. Even salary, 30%, 30,000 naira minimum wage. So, is it only the federal government that they are working for? What is the percentage of people working for the federal government? The question now is, will the federal government be able to even pay 50,000 naira minimum wage? Can they even pay 100,000 naira minimum wage? I don't even think so. Because how many states are going to be able? If out of 36, only 10 states are paying 30,000 naira minimum wage, and now you are talking about 1 million naira, even 100,000 naira minimum wage, many states will not be able.
Because prior to this one,
private sector.
Now
we're talking about private sector. Is it the private sector operators that are even finding it very difficult to pay for the cost of operation? You know how much is the price of fuel now? You know how much is the price of diesel? To fuel that, because there's no even electricity. Now we're even talking about increasing the price of the electricity that maybe you don't get more than 2-3 hours a day. And so you can imagine what that makes sense of your production cost. And so we will come to a private sector that has been struggling to even pay the 30,000 minimum wage. But what you have in the private sector now is, for instance, you see somebody with 15 years experience with 2 degrees receiving 56,000 salary in a month. You understand? With family of like 4 or 5, person is receiving 56,000 in a month. Today, with this inflation price, where does that money take the person? So it only encourages corruption, it encourages extortion, it encourages criminality. So the government should not be seen to be creating these social biases in people's minds. Government must not produce criminals instead of producing jobs for those people to be fully engaged. Because like I always tell my friends, I say it's more difficult to strategize to go and steal or do the wrong thing. It takes you more time, more energy than you need to do what is productive. But you cannot be productive if the enabling environment is not there. And so now we're already talking about multiple taxation, all of these things, and government is coming to say, okay, we want to make it more difficult for businesses to operate. And so people are now finding it difficult to even fuel their generating sets. And everybody is coming again to say, okay, even the lights where they get 30 minutes, 3 hours in a day, you are going to pay more. So they are simply telling the production sector, go and die. And once there is no activity in the production sector, you are killing the economy. It is the production sector that revives and gives life to the economy.
No, Mark, now they are already signaling us that our time is almost up. Just before we go, what is the way forward? Because I like to ask, what is the way forward? What is the solution ahead?
The government should reverse the removal of subsidy. The government should reverse itself on floating of the naira. because including the CBN that said that they were not going to intervene in the market, they will allow these willing buyer, willing seller. It has started intervening in the market again. 5 months after it stopped that move in September. Yesterday, they went to the market with about $86 million. So the question now is, why going back and forth? Okay, just take away pride. Reverse yourself. What is not working does not work. Yes. What does not work? You are just what's it called? Testing this policy. If it does not work, reverse yourself. There's no harm in it. Take away the pride. Reverse yourself. Do not float the because I remember maybe they telling us that time. We cannot float the naira. We cannot allow this exchange rate to just be on its own. If you allow it, you are going to suffer. So now we have it. So they are now making a profit. So reverse yourself on these 2 key policies, and then make sure you secure. There's apart from God, there's nobody that is as strong. Not even the bandits that you call them terrorists can be as strong as the federal government. The government should secure the farmlands, return the forest guards, give states state police. Let everybody police his own environment. You will now know who is within your area. So let everybody police their own. Don't be the federal government is not being selfish by saying that the state should not have control over the police because of election and whatever. What if the federal government has control over the federal police? Are they not using it to their own advantage? If that will be the case, how many people? How does it affect the people? If that will bring security, give the state. As a matter of fact, it is very important that you have state police. These are some of the quick wins that we need to. These are the low-hanging fruit, as they say it, that the federal government need to do for us to have. You must reverse that this thing for us to have.
All right, thank you so very much. Time is actually against us, and man, it's always a pleasure to have you in the studio. Thank you so much. Well, viewers, you've had it all on today's The Big Issue. Today we've been talking on the IMF's proposal for the federal government to remove electricity subsidy. And of course, my name is Winifred Ugbebo, your host on the program. I look forward to having you same time, same station. Take care. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.